Welcome to your magic moon message. This is the peace dealer. The moon is in Cancer and the sun is in Scorpio. We are closing out this Scorpio season. Getting ready to ascend, baby. The moon is going to make a grand water trine to Neptune and the sun at the very end of this transit, and it's going to align your feelings and emotions towards uh, having you come into a sincere feeling and psychic understanding of who you've transformed into, how you've transformed your psyche. It's going to align everything you believe about that with what you feel and now what you're aware that looks like coming into Sagittarius season. A few things. We're finishing a cycle completely. We're seeing this translate in the form of, changes in ads in certain platforms, changes in the way money is made. And the reason why that's important is because many of you may be seeing what used to work for you and make money for you maybe not make money like that. What you or maybe vice versa, what you didn't make money with is making money like that. This is all really accounting for the major transitions and shifts. So you don't want to look at that and ask what's wrong. You want to be ready to adapt, because especially given 7-year cycles, 18-year cycles, just be mindful of that. Many of you might have outgrown what you're already doing or used to. And so you don't have to go on a mad dash and scramble to figure out what's next. That's going to really unveil itself naturally. Just don't get so stubborn and stuck on what you're used to that you don't take advantage or notice new opportunities of growth or a way to keep doing what you do, but just in a different way. That's one thing. Two, you don't want to necessarily get or take serious any projections towards you where people may, of course, be hate watching or looking to see you fail or looking to see you kind of set back. The most they'll get are temporary victories based off of illusions from the outside looking in, looking for any kind of confirmation bias with which to feed whatever ego wants to see that, with which they'll be thoroughly disappointed throughout the rest of the year and coming into next year, where all of this shifts dramatically. So you just don't want to get too bogged down by the way things seem versus what they actually are relative to this eternal now moment, where people will be just caught speculating and postulating on what they feel or think is happening when they don't know shit about shit. So just keep that in mind, especially once again with this water sign dynamic and energy that can have people be a bit too deeply in their feelings that they forego all sense of rational logic and all that other jazz. Okay, so anyway, the sun has just it is just harvested its 180 degree through the moon in Gemini transit, meaning that since March, the sun that was conjunct Uranus is now opposite it. And this is going to account for unexpected windfalls of income in Scorpio, quite literally transforming the way with which you make money moving forward forever. And that could look like a hit or a loss for some of you, because this is geared towards getting ready to segue out of old mechanics and methods and integrate with new technology, or just personally change up the style of what you're doing. Not so you get more money or you're more rich, but so that it's more aligned with who you are, which could lead to more, profit or whatever security you're looking for. It's really this innovation of your own authenticity and worth that this is teaching you to kind of see through, especially once again in the face of those who want to see you fail, because your actions and beliefs expose the bullshit they believe. And instead of looking in the mirror, they just want to take their anger out on you. And this is where you don't necessarily have to get so caught up in arguing back and forth. Your actions will do the talking. Just don't get caught up in the BS and think that just because things are kind of looking the way they do, that they're going to stay that way forever. In a quick Sagittarius season, that shit going to change so fast. All right. That being said, the sun is getting ready to trine Neptune, which is going to enact a 240-degree angle and push you forward relative to now this grand imagination that you've stretched out since 2012, and how you're able to apply this psychoanalytical awareness and transformation, seeing how what you previously believed is taking place in your society. You know what I mean? For example, back in March, I believed that President Trump would win the election by a landslide. And now that we're harvesting this in Scorpio, it's like, what? I told you so. I told you, stupid bitches. Anyway, that was a petty example, but I think it applies because it's actually what happened. And we need to look at the belief in March where, you know, you might have been called crazy. Like, and I'm just using that as one example. This applies to personal development and all sorts of things. And of course, if you were wrong, if what you believed didn't occur, like maybe you really thought Kamala was going to win, which is hilarious. Now you get to transform your awareness. I'm just being petty. Don't take it personal. I don't care about politics. But like, yeah, now you get to transform your awareness so that you can align with, you know, not being delusional. And the reason, once again, why this is key is we're at the crux and the climax of this harvest, where everything you've been sowing the seeds for and working towards are going to exponentially and in a more accelerated quality really harvest, which is why it could look like all this money and abundance is coming out of nowhere. But no, you actually just did the work for that. Anyway, we also have to take into account Mars, that's in Leo, Mercury, that's opposite Jupiter, now harvesting your brain's processing of your higher mind's ability to interpret meaning, relative to this evolution of your lower brain's ability to, you know, calculate, oh, 1 + 1 = 2. There are 5 blinds, blah, 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 blah. We're bridging those so that you can now fulfill a lot of what, once again, back in March to May, you have activated and sowed seeds for. Okay. You know, in connecting with this awakening of the collective, you can mistake other vibrations and thoughts for your thoughts. Don't do that, because you'll end up thinking that like you're more down or low or weird feeling than you are, when those aren't even your feelings. And that's where the moon in Cancer helps you now come into a psychic, sincere understanding of what your emotions are and how to, of course, harvest the wisdom of these sincere psychic feelings towards how you apply them relative to who you're with and how you express these shared emotions. That 8th house in Scorpio, take your individual emotions in Cancer and now, of course, integrate with other people, creating a deeper level of drama that rivals Leo, the source of all drama. Okay. Allow people to project their insecurities and just say all sorts of fallacious nothings, but don't necessarily let that shake your foundation. That since the moon was in Taurus with that full moon, you have begun to harvest. All right. The moon's going to go into Leo. It's going to really now apply this sincere emotion and psychic understanding, which means it's going to be super intuitive, towards now integrating that socially as we begin to move into Sagittarius season and now heat things up for this final level of the I told you so tour. Once again, for those of you who have back in Gemini season last year and this year working on your spiritual AI, your spiritual intelligence, and you recognize that your value is intrinsic as you project what it is you are experiencing, and everything that's 3D is really have already happened, then you're not going to be perturbed by changes externally to look like, oh, something's happening. You know that you carry that within. You're going to keep on pushing forward because the external environment does not in any way influence what happens to you. It's what you believe and think within. For those of you that have too much of an external locus of control, these shifts will seem to scare you and hopefully push you back into that internal control. Just take your power back. That's what Scorpio season especially teaches us. The burden of proof was not fulfilled against you. What does that look like? As long as I've been doing astrology and all people, you know what I'm saying, quoting hearsay from people with inconclusive research. They have yet to debunk this. Despite last year where I debunked all of the, anti-astrology rhetoric, I still have that series on my playlist. No one has ever debunked that, ever. No one has ever really fulfilled that burden of proof. I told you so. So this is how I could just take that moving forward. It doesn't really matter what people are arguing. We have receipts over here. And I'm just using astrology as an example. People's belief systems, philosophies, bias, pride don't mean anything in the face of truth. Logos, baby. So that's what you're pioneering along with this next trend of generation, where people will get angry, they'll throw their fists in the air, but they won't tell the truth. And so it's their problem, not yours. Okay. Why this is also significant as we're coming into this peak of transformation is as everything begins to change through Sagittarius and you see how much you've grown, this is also going to account for the maturity of this transformation of habits and prepare for you to now feel the quality of who you have transformed into. Aries helped you understand the identity. Taurus helped you sense it physically. Gemini put words to it, and now we're driving what that feels like. We're integrating that feeling before we take it on stage through the moon in Leo. All right. I'm definitely very grateful for the support I've received. It's really interesting. I don't know if it's just the state of YouTube or Instagram. I know you guys exist. I don't know if many of you guys see what I do, if you get notifications of it. I'm not trying to necessarily say I'm getting way less support than I did a few years ago, because I know that it's something affecting all content creators, but it's definitely going to reflect in my content. If you don't really see as much as me, if you don't really see as much of me, if you don't necessarily kind of see certain content that's coming through, it's just because there's other stuff that might kind of take my attention now, as I might have to really switch gears. I mean, I've always planned to do that. We're going to change the way we do stuff. But just this isn't necessarily hitting the same like it used to 2016, 2020. I understand I finished a 7-year transit, so I'm actually done with this. I'm ready to move forward. But that's just something to keep in mind, just in case you see certain things change. There's been a lot of suppression. I don't know what may have been said that kind of might have removed people's faith in certain things. Of course, I'm not talking about all of you. So, some of you've been showing support and just definitely staying consistent, and thank you as always. But I'm really speaking of this as it just kind of pertains to the industry as a whole, not just me personally, and even outside of just psychic arts and astrology, because you're seeing a lot of content creators of every kind of ilk speak on this. But this is really just bearing in the end of this dream, the end of this cycle that will have us take everything we've learned and now apply it towards this next stage. So that's what brings me to the beginning of the video, just reminding you things are not at all as they seem, and don't necessarily get discouraged or perturbed by not coming in the results you used to see, because everything is shifting, and your ability to adapt into this next era will really make the most of how you can continue to see success and not really wallow or feel like, oh, things are supposed to be the way they were. Romanticizing the past is not really going to do anything for you in this period. So take that into account. The moon after this will oppose Pluto as Pluto enters Aquarius, and we begin this 20-year new era where we awaken the force, and all sorts of devices, gadgets, and things we needed become obsolete seemingly overnight. All right. I'm going to be doing a Sagittarius season consultation sale starting on the 22nd. So for those of you who want an hour or 30-minute consultation, half off, baby. That's going to apply automatically. You don't need a discount code, and I've already scheduled it, so it's gonna start on the 22nd. You guys stay blessed as always, and as you transform, it's going to require shedding what you used to be comfortable doing so that you can be open to a new way of doing things, or the next way of doing things. Anyway, Ignore these demon possessed idiots out here. Don't let them lower you to their level. And until next time, peace.